Lounging on his throne, the clan leader coldly orders Desmond to leave. The young man kneels in shock, completely blindsided by the sudden decree. His mind reels as he struggles to comprehend the harsh words. Desmond desperately questions Adele, seeking a reason for his abrupt banishment. Adele's patience snaps, his expression twisting into pure rage. He furiously blames Desmond for a failed dungeon raid, citing incompetence and wasted resources. As the leader raises his foot, Desmond scrambles to protest the unfair accusation. A flashback reveals the truth. Adele had ignored Desmond's scouting report to chase after treasure. Before he can speak, a glass bottle is thrown, striking him squarely on the head. The sharp impact leaves a stinging wound, cutting his defense short. The leader deflects all blame, furiously accusing Desmond of making excuses for his own mistakes. He seizes Desmond by the collar, accusing him of trying to frame him for the failed mission. The leader recounts his supposed generosity from a year ago, now viewing Desmond as ungrateful and worthy of death. A woman with striking red hair appears, calmly ordering Adele to stand down. She calmly remarks that while such conflicts are expected in a dungeon, they have no place within the guild's walls. Visibly annoyed, Adele releases his grip as Desmond looks toward the woman whom he recognizes as Marina. With one last act of contempt, Adele throws Desmond to the ground before turning away. Her attention now on Desmond, the mage inquisitively asks him to explain his unique scouting technique. He reveals his ability is a form of enhanced scent, a detail Marina seems to find particularly interesting. Her friendly demeanor vanishes, replaced by a cold glare as she accuses him of lying about his abilities. Desmond frantically tries to defend his unique enchantment magic, but Marina dismisses his claims as lies. He insists his ability is special, questioning her knowledge of standard enchantment magic. A painful memory surfaces of being mocked for his supposedly weak enchantment boost. Marina smirks, boasting about their team's fame as the supernovas who conquered a B-rank dungeon. She cozies up to Adele, coldly stating their elite party has no room for deadweight. Crushed, Desmond makes a final desperate plea, reminding them their success was built on his magic. Another party member steps forward, completely unconcerned by the prospect of losing their enchanter. The burly warrior Karatzo reveals he's already found a replacement for Desmond. As Karatzo summons the newcomer, Desmond watches from the floor, his last hope evaporating. A confident B-rank mage with pink hair steps forward, revealed as his skilled and superior replacement. The new mage turns to face Desmond, her arrival sealing his fate as the smug party looks on. With a cheerful smile, she expresses her delight at joining the famous Espada party. Adele looks down with utter contempt, relishing Desmond's visible despair. The leader erupts in cruel laughter, reminding Desmond that a superior replacement leaves him with no ground to stand on. Marina chimes in with a smug grin, coldly confirming his termination as the new recruit watches with amusement. The burly warrior adds his own insult, accusing Desmond of being a parasite trying to leech off their success. The entire party looms over him with the leader pointing and branding him as worthless trash. Defeated, Desmond finally accepts their decision, agreeing to quit the party he helped build. He turns to leave amidst a chorus of jeers and insults, his former comrades demanding he leave his gear behind. As he walks away, his eyes narrow with resolve, one flaring with a mysterious brilliant blue light. The brilliant blue light reveals his hidden skill, the appraisal eye, which can analyze stats in detail. He bitterly reflects that without the party, his own skills were too weak to even enter a C-rank dungeon. A memory of their early days flashes by, a time when they happily promised to rise to the top together. The sting of betrayal hits hard. He truly believed they were a team built on trust. Now cast out, he wanders to the edge of town, his future uncertain. He sits alone, staff in hand, contemplating how he can possibly survive without a party. Frustration boils over as he realizes the shame of his dismissal will follow him everywhere. His solitude is shattered when a panicked adventurer sprints past him, running for his life. The adventurer and his companion look back in sheer terror, shocked to find a high-level beast in a low-level area. A terrifying B-rank magic beast emerges, its menacing purple aura confirming their worst fears. The D-rank adventurer trembles, knowing he's completely outmatched by the powerful beast. Suddenly, a confident B-rank mage appears, casting a strength enhancement spell on the terrified man. Her magic proves useless as the beast effortlessly swats the adventurer aside like a fly. The monster looms over the helpless pair, its glowing red eyes promising a swift end. It opens its massive jaws, ready to devour the two adventurers in a single terrifying bite. Watching from afar, Desmond recalls how his own party never truly understood his power. A bitter memory resurfaces of them mocking his weak enchantment, which only boosted stats by 20. But now Desmond raises his staff, its orb glowing with a mysterious green light. He calmly casts his own version of the strength enhancement spell. A powerful green aura envelops the fallen adventurer just as the beast lunges for the kill. The adventurer feels an incredible surge of power, his body glowing with Desmond's enchantment. With newfound strength, he miraculously blocks the beast's devastating attack, holding it back with his sword. The B-rank monster growls, stunned and angered by the unexpected resistance from its prey. Both the adventurer and his companion are completely bewildered by the sudden turn of events. The enraged beast shifts its focus, now targeting the defenseless female mage. But the adventurer, enhanced with incredible agility, blitzes past the monster, landing a critical strike. Desmond watches calmly, knowing his power was never a simple +20 enhancement. He reveals the truth. His magic multiplies a person's power by a staggering 20 times. The once helpless adventurer unleashes an attack far beyond his rank, overwhelming the B-rank monster. He stares at his own hands in disbelief, unable to comprehend the power he just wielded. He looks over the town, lamenting that he tried to explain his true power, but his party never bothered to listen. As he stands on the hill, a new figure in brilliant white armor appears before him. A glimpse of her serene face and flowing silver hair hints at her powerful presence. The mysterious woman recognizes him, her gaze fixed on the outcast enchanter. Back in town, Desmond finds himself staring at a bulletin board, a symbol of his need for a fresh start. He sighs, holding a recruitment flyer, the reality of his situation sinking in. To continue his journey, he knows he must find a new party to join. The narrative shifts to explain the world's dungeons, ancient ruins filled with mystery and danger. Within these ruins lie forgotten knowledge and immense treasures waiting to be discovered. Adventurers risk their lives exploring these dungeons, driving the world's economy and humanity's progress. Desmond knows that to explore dungeons, he must find a new party to join. He despairs, realizing his pitifully low stats will make it impossible to find anyone willing to team up with him. He reflects on the absurdity of his enchanter class, which functions with a staggering 0 intelligence. This crippling limitation means he can only cast the most basic spells, a fact that has plagued his entire career. Lost in his gloomy thoughts, he's startled by the sudden appearance of an armored figure before him. The mysterious silver-haired woman cuts straight to the point, asking if he is currently looking for a clan. He turns with a hopeful expression, candidly admitting that he was just kicked out of his previous one. To his surprise, she reacts with indignation, declaring any party that would dismiss him has no eye for real talent. Her passionate defense leaves him completely flustered and struggling to process her words. He finally recognizes the legendary warrior standing before him as the renowned paladin, Cynthia. Cynthia greets him with a warm smile, acknowledging their long separation. Desmond is equally stunned, realizing 3 years have passed since they left their hometown together. The two childhood friends express their mutual surprise and delight at this unexpected reunion. His attention is suddenly drawn to the gleaming emblem on her armor. He recognizes the symbol with awe, identifying it as a legendary S-rank adventurer tag. Desmond insists she should be proud of her status, as S-rank adventurers are among the world's most elite. The ranking system confirms her position at the absolute pinnacle of the adventuring world. Beaming with genuine joy, he expresses his immense pride in his childhood friend's achievement. His heartfelt words cause the legendary paladin to blush, touched by his sincerity. Her unexpected reaction leaves Desmond flustered, a blush creeping onto his own cheeks. A blush spreads across his face as he thinks about how beautiful his childhood friend has grown. He recalls that his entire journey as an adventurer was driven by the desire to one day be her equal. A memory surfaces of them as children making a pinky promise to conquer an S-rank dungeon together. Back in the present, he feels awkward, assuming she has long forgotten their childish vow. The conversation shifts as Cynthia brings up the name of his old party, Espada. She notes that everyone's been talking about Espada, the up-and-coming party that cleared B-rank dungeons. With a knowing smile, she confidently attributes their success directly to him. Her unwavering belief in his power leaves Desmond utterly bewildered and speechless. She reveals she always knew about his incredible enchantment skills, leaving him stunned that his secret wasn't so secret. Overjoyed by her recognition, he watches as she suggests they can now move forward with their plans. With an excited blush, Cynthia eagerly invites Desmond to join her clan. She excitedly explains that the clan's admission test is scheduled for the very next day. Leaning in close, she passionately insists that with his skills, passing the test will be a breeze. The words entrance exam echo in his mind, causing him to hesitate. He doubts his chances as AD rank, but the thought of joining the clan of the woman he admires is too tempting to ignore. He agrees to give it a shot, causing Cynthia to light up with surprise and joy. Overjoyed by his answer, she declares they should go and apply for the test right away. Without a moment's hesitation, she grabs his hand and pulls him through the streets, much to his surprise. Though he feels unprepared, seeing her this happy brings a genuine smile to his face. His happy-go-lucky mood instantly evaporates into panic as he realizes he has no idea where she's taking him. His panicked question makes her stop in her tracks, looking back in surprise. She apologizes for her haste, revealing her clan's name is Chevalier Garden. Desmond's face pales with shock. He knows that name all too well. They arrive at a grand fortress, the headquarters of Bristol's largest and most powerful clan. This legendary clan is rumored to have the most adventurers and is on the verge of conquering an S-rank dungeon. The sheer scale of it all sends Desmond into a panic, and he immediately tries to back out of the test. Before he can flee, Cynthia gently takes his hand, stopping his retreat. She calmly gets his attention, calling him by his childhood nickname. Leaning in close, she reminds him of their childhood promise to conquer a dungeon together. Her heartfelt reminder leaves him completely flustered, his face turning a deep shade of red. The word promise echoes in his mind, stirring a powerful memory. He's stunned to realize she remembered their childhood vow to conquer an S-rank dungeon together. Her earnestness sends him into a flustered state, his heart pounding with emotion. His romantic haze shatters, replaced by sheer panic as reality sets in. Convinced he's not worthy, he tries to flee, but Cynthia refuses to let him go. Despite his reservations, the day of the exam arrives, bringing him to the imposing clan headquarters. He receives his applicant number 55 and is told to wait for the examination to begin. He nervously accepts, feeling completely out of place among the other applicants. He steps into a vast hall marveling at the sheer opulence of the clan headquarters. He's taken aback by the sheer number of applicants, realizing the competition is on another level entirely. He clutches his applicant number, still struggling to believe his childhood friend is in this legendary clan. The exam details are announced. Teams of 4 must defeat 10 goblins inside a D-rank dungeon. While waiting, he scans the opulent hall wondering if Cynthia is somewhere in the building. A sudden announcement cuts through the chatter, startling Desmond and the other hopefuls. All eyes turn to a woman standing on an upper balcony ready to address the crowd. She reveals that before the exam, they will receive a greeting from Cynthia McDonnell, commander of the 1st Brigade. The other applicants buzz with excitement, but Desmond is stunned to hear her formal title. His face freezes in a look of utter disbelief, trying to comprehend what he just heard. The revelation sends his mind reeling, completely short-circuiting his thoughts. A clan hierarchy chart confirms his shock. Cynthia leads the 1st Brigade, the most elite unit in Chevalier Garden. The 1st Brigade is revealed to be a 5-member team of the world's strongest adventurers with Cynthia at its center. As the commander is announced, Cynthia herself steps onto the balcony, leaving Desmond utterly dumbfounded. She stands before the crowd, her commanding presence and striking armor silencing the hall. The other applicants are immediately captivated by her beauty while Desmond can only stare in disbelief. She addresses the hopefuls, welcoming them and urging them to give the exam their all. Her inspiring words ignite the crowd, who cheer enthusiastically for a chance to fight alongside her. Amidst the roaring excitement, Desmond remains frozen, his mind struggling to accept this new reality. The truth hits him like a physical blow, his brain refusing to process the information. As the speech concludes, the applicants begin to move, preparing to form their exam teams. He overhears others dreaming of joining the 1st Brigade, finally connecting that his childhood friend is their legendary commander. He reflects that while he's happy for his friend, her new status feels completely unreal. A wave of loneliness hits him as he feels the distance between them just as a familiar voice calls his name. Cynthia, now cloaked in a white hood, appears before him with a warm smile thanking him for coming. Desmond leaps back in shock, completely startled by her sudden and personal appearance in the crowded hall. The other applicants stare in disbelief, their attention now fixed on the mysterious interaction. A wave of excitement ripples through the crowd as they realize the legendary commander is right there among them. Murmurs spread as everyone questions who Desmond is while Cynthia apologizes for not being able to resist greeting him directly. She leans in to give him a supportive kiss on the cheek, wishing him luck on the exam. Blushing furiously, Desmond stammers his thanks as she pulls up her hood and discreetly departs. He clutches his staff, wondering if the world's strongest paladin really came all this way just for him. Filled with renewed purpose, he grips his staff ready to prove his worth. He marches forward, now determined to pass the exam and stand by Cynthia's side. His thoughts are shattered when an energetic blonde adventurer suddenly calls out to him. She points at him, asking if his applicant number 55, leaving him completely bewildered. To his surprise, she reveals her own applicant number is also 55. The realization dawns on him that they must be assigned to the same exam party. The cheerful swordsman strikes a pose, introducing herself as a frontline attacker named Rin. Before he can properly respond, Rin is already waving over another person. A quiet, elegant mage named Dorothy introduces herself, also holding applicant number 55. Desmond is startled by her soft-spoken demeanor, barely managing a flustered reply. A towering figure suddenly steps forward, startling Desmond and his new companions. The gruff dwarf introduces himself as Garand, a shield-bearer, revealing he's their final party member. Stunned by the dwarf's presence, Desmond nervously stammers out his own name and introduction. The energetic Rin happily welcomes him as Desmond suggests a shorter nickname, finalizing the party introductions. The team arrives at the foreboding Dread Skull dungeon, its entrance carved into a massive skull. An official informs the newly formed party that this will be their examination site. The objective is clear. They must either defeat 10 goblins or withdraw to conclude the exam. He assesses the situation, recognizing that even a low-level D-rank dungeon requires careful strategy. His cautious thoughts are immediately interrupted as Rin charges ahead with reckless enthusiasm. He desperately tries to stop her reckless charge, but the examiner simply laughs at her energetic spirit. He overhears other applicants whispering that his new party seems utterly hopeless. Desmond recalls that the team assignments are random, but a terrible realization begins to dawn on him. He learns that Party 55 is not only full of rookies but is rumored to be the worst in the exam's history. The title of worst party in history sends him into a state of pure unadulterated panic. He turns to see his teammates, one of whom is excitedly showing off a mushroom, confirming his worst fears. Standing before the dungeon, he can't help but wonder if he's just cursed when it comes to parties. The team has arrived at the infamous Dread Skull dungeon, their designated testing ground. This dungeon was once a treasure-filled B-rank labyrinth until its power source, the dungeon heart, was shattered. Now downgraded to D-rank, the dungeon is little more than a nest for low-level goblins. Inside, Desmond reflects that while his old party tackled high-ranked dungeons, he was always given the smallest share of the rewards. He wonders when exactly his former comrades started treating him with such contempt. He realizes that looking back, he has no fond memories of his time with the Espada clan. He stares at his new eccentric teammates, trying to understand why they are called the worst in history. Worried they might be dangerous, he cautiously tries to get their attention. His caution is met with a flying tackle from Rin, who pins him to the ground with startling enthusiasm. She cheerfully asks why he looks so grim, completely oblivious to his flustered state. Misinterpreting his expression as hunger, she generously offers him her special snack. She proudly boasts about how delicious her treat is while Desmond hasn't even had a chance to eat it. Giving in, he takes a bite of the snack, not knowing what else to do. To his complete surprise, he finds the simple snack is actually incredibly delicious. A painful memory shows his old party treating him like a servant, demanding he fetch items for them. He realizes that with his former comrades, he was never even given time to eat properly. The mage, Dorothy, shyly offers him some water while Goran chimes in with an offer of medicine. Touched by their simple kindness, Desmond gratefully accepts their offer. A smile spreads across his face as he realizes his new teammates, despite their quirks, are genuinely good people. Feeling more at ease, he asks the group why they decided to apply to the legendary Chevalier Garden. Rin cheerfully explains that she's the third daughter of a noble family from the countryside. She reveals her parents disapproved of her dream to be an adventurer, insisting she get married instead. Now she's determined to become the world's greatest adventurer to prove them wrong. As Desmond turns to the dwarf, he asks Jaren if a shield bearer's purpose is to protect everyone, a fact the dwarf simply confirms. Garen declares that protecting people is his duty, a statement that deeply impresses Desmond. Realizing his teammates are kind, Desmond turns his attention to the quiet mage, Dorothy, asking for her story. Dorothy shyly reveals her adoptive parents are in the clan, and she wants to join to repay their kindness. His simple praise sends the bashful mage into a spiral of embarrassment, and she hides her face in her hat. Desmond looks at her with a gentle smile, trying to reassure the flustered mage. He concludes that the worst party rumor must be a mistake, as his new companions are all kind-hearted people. He then sheepishly admits to himself that his own motive is the least noble. He just wants to be with Cynthia. With his mind made up, he grips his staff filled with a new sense of resolve. He rallies his new team, encouraging them to face the exam together with everything they've got. Fired up, Desmond vows to pass the exam for Cynthia while Jaren casually points out some dirt on his shoulder. Desmond thanks him, but the dwarf suddenly groans and collapses to the ground. The entire party stares in shock as Jaren lies motionless on the dungeon floor. Desmond laughs nervously, trying to dismiss the fall as an elaborate joke. He calls out to the fallen dwarf, urging him to get up, but gets no response. The rest of the team's amusement turns to genuine concern as they realize something is wrong. Rin's panicked cry that Jaren isn't breathing sends Desmond scrambling for a healing potion. Just as panic sets in, Jaren's eyes snap open with a booming laugh. He apologizes for the prank while Rin playfully scolds him for the scare. Desmond is left speechless as Jaren admits he often collapses, though he's trying to be careful. The horrifying realization dawns on Desmond that this might be a regular event. He activates his appraisal eye, determined to understand his new party's true potential. His analysis reveals Rin, their vanguard, has high agility but the strength of a wet noodle. Next, he checks Jaren, the shield bearer, who has the vitality of a house plant. Dorothy notices his grim expression, but he struggles to find the right words. He focuses his gaze, turning his attention to their last hope, the mage. The appraisal shows Dorothy has impressive intelligence capable of casting powerful spells. He praises her abilities, but his compliment sends the shy mage into a flustered panic. She bashfully admits her crippling weakness. She can only cast a single spell per day. The final nail in the coffin hits Desmond so hard he practically coughs up blood. Her mana pool is so small it confirms his worst fears. They truly are the worst party in history. The grim reality of the worst party in history finally clicks in Desmond's mind. He realizes their attacker, Rin, is too weak to actually defeat anything. Their shield bearer, Gerund, is so fragile he'd go down in a single hit. And their mage, Dorothy, is limited to casting just one spell for the entire day. He concludes that even he, with his basic enchantments, is just as much of a liability. Panicked, he knows he must cast his enhancement spell immediately, or they'll all be wiped out. Just then, Rin spots a horde of goblins confirming his worst-case scenario. Desmond desperately yells for everyone to wait while he prepares his magic. But Rin, with a confident shout, ignores his warning and charges headfirst into the fray. She clashes swords with the first goblin, initiating a fight they are completely unprepared for. Rin's attack fails spectacularly, her pitiful strength leaving her completely overpowered by a single goblin. Unfazed, she comically mistakes the low-level monster for the dungeon boss, completely misjudging the situation. As another goblin charges, Desmond frantically tries to cast his spell, but chaos has already erupted. A sudden warning cry snaps his attention to an immediate threat, his eyes widening in alarm. Just as the goblin attacks, Garen collapses once again, his body hitting the floor with a thud. Desmond stares at his fallen teammate in utter disbelief, frustrated by the dwarf's terrible timing. He mentally scolds the dwarf for his fragility, questioning why he'd even choose to be a shield bearer. Gerund, however, pops back up with a heroic pose, declaring that protecting people is his calling. After using their only healing potion, Desmond warns the team that they have no more room for error. His warning proves futile as Gerund immediately collapses again, forcing Desmond to use the potion in despair. He stares at the empty potion bottle, a forced smile barely hiding his sheer panic. He spirals into a frenzy, realizing that with no healer, a single hit could spell disaster for the party. Just as a goblin lunges, Rin shoves him out of the way, taking the hit herself. His eyes widen in horror as he watches his teammate take the blow meant for him. He watches helplessly as Rin falls to her knees, surrounded by the jeering monsters. He rushes to her side, furious that their main attacker is acting like a disposable shield. She just offers a sheepish grin, completely unfazed by his frantic lecture. With a determined glint in her eye, she explains she couldn't just stand by and watch a teammate get hurt. Her selfless act leaves him momentarily speechless, struck by her loyalty. His anger fades into genuine concern, warning her that such recklessness could end her adventuring career. He reminds Rin of her dream to become the world's greatest adventurer, questioning her recklessness. She just smiles, explaining that protecting her comrades is more important than any personal ambition. Her selfless words leave Desmond completely speechless, moved by her unexpected loyalty. The moment is shattered as Dorothy frantically announces that 7 more goblins are heading their way. Garland immediately takes charge, ordering everyone to fall back behind his shield. Desmond desperately warns him not to take another hit, reminding him they have no healing potions left. He yells that the next blow will be fatal, but the dwarf simply calls his name to get his attention. Desmond looks on with a tense expression, waiting for the dwarf's seemingly final words. Garland admits he knows he's not strong, but is willing to fall if it's for his comrades. He smiles with grim determination, declaring that even in defeat, his body can serve as a shield. Desmond is stunned by the dwarf's loyalty, but a quiet voice suddenly interrupts his thoughts. He turns to see Dorothy, the shy mage, looking at him with newfound determination. She timidly reminds him that she can only cast a single spell. She explains her dilemma. Using her only spell now will save them but cost her the exam. Despite the cost, she offers to sacrifice her chance to pass, but Desmond immediately shouts for her to stop. He reminds her of her promise to pass the exam for her adoptive parents. Her grip on her staff tightens, her resolve unshaken by his words. She declares that a victory earned by abandoning her comrades would be completely meaningless. Her selfless declaration strikes a deep chord within him, leaving him speechless. He wonders how these strangers, his teammates for a single day, can already feel such a powerful bond. The team looks on with unwavering resolve, united in their selfless goal. Their unified stance suggests that the bonds of comradeship can form in an instant. Their profound loyalty leaves Desmond utterly stunned and deeply moved. Tears well up in his eyes, a testament to the genuine kindness is finally found. The emotional moment is cut short as the goblin horde finally descends upon them. Garen braces himself, ready to take the brunt of the attack with his shield. Rin and Dorothy cry out in panic, fearing the inevitable impact on their fragile tank. He takes a devastating blow, the force of the impact rattling his entire body. But instead of collapsing, a powerful watery barrier erupts from his shield, repelling the goblins. He looks down in shock, completely bewildered by the mysterious power now protecting him. The watery barrier explodes outward, sending the entire goblin horde flying. Garen stares in shock, questioning if he truly possesses such incredible defensive power. He quickly dismisses the thought, realizing the newfound strength isn't his own. The team turns to see Desmond, his staff glowing with a powerful green aura, as Rin wonders if this is his doing. Desmond closes his eyes, a calm and determined expression settling on his face. His eyes snap open, now filled with unwavering resolve. A profound realization hits him. He wants to pass this exam with these people and no one else. He understands he's formed a deeper bond with them in a day than he ever did with his old comrades. He confidently tells his new party to trust him and follow his lead. Unleashing his full power, he declares that together, they will all pass this exam. He radiates with power, confidently promising victory if they follow his plan. Taking command, he immediately instructs the hesitant mage, Dorothy, to prepare her spell. She reminds him of the cost, as using her only spell means sacrificing her own chance to pass. His unwavering confidence echoes in her mind, challenging her doubts. Her grip on her staff tightens, her hesitation giving way to newfound resolve. With her agreement secured, Desmond turns to the others, issuing his next command. He orders Ren and Goran to buy time for Dorothy to complete her incantation. To her complete shock, he tasks the weak-hitting Rin with holding the front line. She stares in disbelief at the goblin horde she's expected to face all by herself. Desmond meets her panicked gaze with a look of absolute trust, believing in her potential. Her fear vanishes, replaced by a wide confident grin as she accepts his trust. Filled with newfound purpose, she eagerly accepts the challenge and charges forward. She faces down the first wave of goblins preparing to hold the line. With a fierce look, she vows that not a single monster will get past her position. Her sword connects with the first goblin, but this time the impact is completely different. She unleashes a whirlwind of powerful strikes, effortlessly repelling the entire goblin horde. She looks on in stunned amazement, unable to believe her own newfound strength. The once threatening monsters are left defeated and scattered in a newly formed crater. She stares at the devastation, completely awestruck by the power she just wielded. A green glow reflects in her eye as she realizes this is Desmond's enchantment at work. A system message confirms his caster strength enhancement, explaining Rin's sudden power boost. As more goblins appear, Desmond turns his attention to Garand, who now glows with a similar green aura. He shouts for the dwarf to focus his efforts on defending the rear of their formation. A new set of enchantments appear, revealing Desmond has boosted Garand's physical abilities and vitality. With his new buffs, Garand is tasked with the crucial role of protecting their mage, Dorothy. The dwarf roars in agreement, his enchanted shield easily repelling the goblin onslaught. He grits his teeth, holding the line with a strength he never knew he possessed. Dorothy watches in amazement as their once fragile tank effortlessly holds back the monsters. Seeing her comrades' newfound power, a look of quiet determination settles in her eyes. Inspired by their leader, she finally unleashes her own powerful magic, a swirling blue vortex of energy. With Dorothy's magic swirling, Desmond asks her to focus on a passage to their right. As she nervously eyes the dark tunnel, he informs her that he's about to enhance her spell. Confused by his words, she's ordered to unleash her full power directly into the passage. He casts his own enchantments, boosting her mental strength and intelligence. A system message confirms her water magic is now amplified, increasing its power, accuracy, and stability. The spell swells to an uncontrollable size, causing the young mage to panic. Overwhelmed by the incredible power coursing through her, she feels she's at her absolute limit. Desmond calmly places his hand over hers, steadying her grip on the staff. He leans in, reassuring her that it's okay and asking for her complete trust. The flustered mage looks back at him, her mind reeling from his proximity and the immense power she now wields. Her blush deepens as she puts her complete trust in him, steadied by his touch. Together, they unleash a supercharged water spell, its power amplified to an incredible new level. He explains his strategy to the dazed mage, revealing they need just 3 more kills to pass. His enhanced senses had already mapped the dungeon, pinpointing a large goblin nest in the next chamber. By amplifying her spell's range, he aimed it to pierce straight through the dungeon wall. The bolt of water magic travels an impossible distance, catching the distant goblins completely by surprise. He reveals this single perfectly aimed shot is all they need to clear the exam in one fell swoop. With a look of satisfaction, he confirms their plan was a success, having defeated the required number of monsters. The spell's immense power carves a massive new tunnel through the dungeon, shocking everyone. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he realizes he might have overdone the enchantment just a little. The spell's power surges uncontrollably as Desmond realizes he may have boosted it a little too much. The resulting explosion is so massive, it completely obliterates the Dread Skull dungeon from the landscape. The party sits amidst the wreckage with Goran sheepishly apologizing for getting carried away by the power boost. Desmond looks on in horror, wondering if their over-the-top victory will get them in trouble. He panics, certain they'll be disqualified for destroying the entire examination site. An examiner approaches holding up a hand to calm the frantic party leader. To their utter disbelief, the official announces that they have all successfully passed the exam. The examiners are left stunned, noting that the worst party was somehow the fastest to complete the test. The official hands him a card, formally confirming their success and ending the exam. The examiner then showers Desmond with praise, amazed that a D-rank adventurer could wield such incredible magic. Desmond nervously laughs off the praise, just relieved that despite everything, they actually passed the exam. Their success grants them entry into the magnificent Chevalier Garden headquarters. Inside, they are formally congratulated and presented with their official membership cards. An official welcomes them, formally inducting them as members of the legendary clan. Desmond stares at his new card, still processing their unlikely victory as his teammates look on. Rin erupts in celebration, overjoyed that they managed to pass the exam against all odds. She tackles him in a grateful hug, giving him all the credit for their victory as he stammers in embarrassment. Their celebration is cut short as they notice other more serious-looking adventurers staring them down. The entire room seems to part for them, with every other adventurer pointedly giving them a wide berth. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he realizes the strange hostile atmosphere is directed entirely at them. Whispers spread through the hall, identifying them as the party that cleared the exam the fastest. The other adventurers are baffled, recalling that Party 55 was supposed to be the worst in history. Desmond overhears the wild rumors about his power, secretly pleased by his newfound reputation. Rin beams with pride, pointing out that everyone is talking about how amazing their leader is. She gives him a friendly nudge, but he stammers, overwhelmed by the sudden praise. Garen tells him not to be modest, insisting his incredible enchantments were the key to their victory. Desmond looks at his teammates, moved by their unwavering faith in him. He tightens his grip on his staff, preparing to deflect the praise. He humbly insists he's just a support class and that their victory was a true team effort. He turns to his party, declaring that their success was only possible because of everyone's hard work. Rin looks at him with a deep blush, completely captivated by his humble speech. Overcome with emotion, she suddenly proposes marriage, leaving Desmond utterly stunned. The celebratory mood shifts as a new reality begins to set in. Desmond somberly announces that since the exam is over, their temporary party must now disband. The news hits everyone hard, with Dorothy and Desmond sharing a look of quiet disappointment. Rin and Goran stare in disbelief, their triumphant expressions replaced with shock and sadness. A beautiful elf mage approaches, confirming that temporary exam parties are now expected to separate. She hesitates for a moment, seemingly struggling with her own words. The elf tearfully declares that she'll never forget them, calling their group the best party she's ever known. Rin cuts in with a confused look, pointing out their new guild cards assigned them all to the very same party. Desmond stares at his card in disbelief, realizing they've all been assigned to the same official party. The group stands in stunned silence, processing the unexpected news that they are stuck together. Their shock quickly melts into joy as they accept their fate as a permanent team. Rin enthusiastically reintroduces herself while Dorothy hides her face, embarrassed by her earlier tearful goodbye. With a wide cut-like grin, Rin immediately suggests they go out and celebrate their new status. She insists on a victory party with drinks, a suggestion Goran wholeheartedly supports. Desmond hesitates, his thoughts turning to Cynthia and his desire to tell how he passed. He looks around the bustling hall, realizing finding her won't be easy now that they are official members. A pang of loneliness hits him. A quiet moment of melancholy amidst the celebration. The scene shifts to an aerial view of the town as the newly formed party heads out to find a tavern. The party arrives at a cozy-looking tavern to begin their celebration. Inside, the tavern is bustling with fellow adventurers as the group finds a table. A mug of ale is raised high, ready for a well-deserved toast. The entire team clinks their mugs together, celebrating their unlikely success and new beginning. Desmond looks at his new comrades with a warm, genuine smile, finally feeling like he belongs. Rin grins playfully, her cat-like fangs showing as she soaks in the celebratory mood. Garen and Dorothy share a look of surprise, their attention drawn to something unexpected. A mysterious girl in a white hood suddenly appears, beaming with an infectious wide smile. Desmond and Rin stare in confusion at the uninvited guest who has joined their table. The party politely questions the stranger, pointing out that their celebration is a private one. Desmond's confusion turns to dawning recognition as he stares at the stranger. He tentatively asks if the hooded figure is Cynthia, the girl he was looking for. The name sends Dorothy into a state of shock while Rin comically mishears it. The girl frantically denies her identity, but the party's reaction confirms she's someone important. Dorothy is aghast, questioning Desmond's informal tone and their potential relationship. The hooded girl, Cynthia, shoots a sharp glance from beneath her hood, silencing the table. She sighs and apologizes for the sudden intrusion, admitting her emotions got the better of her. Cynthia shyly reveals she's known Desmond since childhood and came to celebrate his success. Desmond is left blushing and deeply moved that she came all this way just for him. Dorothy is stunned by the revelation while a flustered Cynthia tries to downplay their connection. Cynthia clarifies that Desmond passed on his own merit, not because she showed him any favoritism. Rin chimes in, readily agreeing that they know Desmond's true strength. She then affectionately hugs Desmond, boasting that his party knows his greatness best. Cynthia watches in jealous shock, flustered by Rin's casual intimacy and nickname for Desmond. The elf mage from earlier tries to de-escalate the situation, suggesting they all drop the formalities. But Cynthia's gloved hand shoots out, silently stopping the elf from interfering. She leans in close to Desmond, challenging Rin's claim to know him so well after just one day. Rin fires back, declaring their life or death battle forged a bond deeper than anyone else's. The two women glare daggers at each other with a terrified Desmond caught in their tug-of-war. Meanwhile, Garin completely ignores the escalating drama, his attention fixed solely on a platter of food. Garin blissfully announces the food's arrival, completely oblivious to the tension. The tense atmosphere inside the tavern ruins any hope of a peaceful celebration. Outside, the tavern looks peaceful, a stark contrast to the drama unfolding at their table. Rin tries to feed Desmond a piece of meat, escalating her claim on him. Not to be outdone, Cynthia offers him a spoonful of her own dish. Desmond breaks out in a cold sweat, trapped between the two competing women. He's caught in a culinary crossfire as both Rin and Cynthia try to win his affection. The two women begin to argue over which food is better for him, ignoring his obvious distress. Dorothy finally intervenes, pointing out that their rivalry is making Desmond uncomfortable. Her well-meaning but completely unhelpful suggestion to drink milk only adds to the chaos. Garin blissfully slurps his pasta, completely ignoring the tension as Desmond offers a strained compliment. With a forced smile, Desmond politely tries to refuse their offers, insisting he can feed himself. His refusal falls on deaf ears as both Rin and Cynthia lean in, demanding he make a proper decision. They both plead their cases, with Cynthia citing their childhood friendship and Rin their party bond. Desmond's attempt to clarify they are just talking about food leads to a wild misinterpretation from a blushing Rin. As Rin gets lost in her fantasy, Desmond desperately tries to bring her back to reality. The misunderstanding spreads as a flustered Cynthia now questions Desmond's newfound boldness. Cynthia melts into a blushing mess, wishing that boldness was directed at her instead. Frustrated by the stalemate, Cynthia slams her hand on the table, determined to settle things. The two rivals face off, deciding to settle once and for all who Desmond will choose as he cowers between them. The two rivals debate their food choices, each convinced their dish is the superior option for Desmond. Meanwhile, Gerund enjoys the feast, oblivious to the drama as he racks up a mountain of empty plates. Rin's competitive spirit flares as she orders even more food, determined to win the feeding Desmond contest. Their argument is cut short as Gorin's towering stack of plates begins to teeter precariously. Desmond shouts a frantic warning as the tower of dishes comes crashing down towards the table. Both women look at Desmond with hopeful blushes, each expecting him to leap to a rescue. Cynthia is left splattered with sauce, her expression turning from hopeful to utterly unamused. Rin shares the same fate, her face covered in food as her competitive confidence evaporates. But instead of saving either of them, Desmond instinctively shields Garin from the culinary catastrophe. He looks up with a sheepish grin, struggling to explain why he chose to save the dwarf over them. The two women glare, realizing the falling plates could have been disastrous for the oblivious dwarf. They both reach a silent, grim conclusion. Garin was the true source of all the chaos. In a surprising twist, Rin grabs Cynthia, pulling her into an unexpected alliance. Their rivalry forgotten, they decide to team up for a night of heavy drinking, much to the elf's shock. Desmond reflects on the chaotic but joyful turn of events, finally getting a proper victory party. Rin is shown completely flushed, having clearly embraced the celebratory spirit a little too enthusiastically. Later that night, Gorin carries the passed-out Rin as Dorothy tries to keep their rowdy group in check. Desmond sincerely thanks Cynthia for celebrating with them, and she looks back with a bashful smile. Dorothy reflects on the night, realizing this is her first real celebration with a party of comrades. He looks genuinely happy, admitting he was glad she could be there to share in their success. A deep blush spreads across Cynthia's face as she admits she's glad she came. She confesses she's happy they can now be in the same clan together. Desmond laughs, pointing out that their respective brigades are still quite far apart. She confidently predicts that with his talent, he'll be in her top-tier brigade in no time, leaving him flustered. Her gaze turns serious as she insists her high praise is completely genuine. Cynthia then smiles, adding that she's glad he found such interesting party members. She calls them pleasant people, just as the scene shows the rowdy aftermath of their celebration. He nervously recalls their lack of respect for her authority, promising to have a word with Rin. Cynthia admits that while the group celebration was fun, her tone suggests there's something else on her mind. Leaning in, she reveals her true desire to celebrate his success with just the two of them. Desmond is taken aback by her forwardness, causing her to quickly retract her statement in a fluster. She regains her composure, smiling under the moonlight as she declares she'll be counting on him from now on. Her confident facade cracks, revealing a deep blush as she shyly utters his name with affection. His left equally flustered, a gentle blush spreading across his face as he processes her heartfelt words. As they part ways for the night, he quietly agrees that he's counting on her too. The next morning, the newly formed party begins their first day as official members of the clan. Their first stop is a well-stocked alchemy shop to prepare for their next adventure. Inside, they marvel at the impressive collection of colorful and potent-looking potions. The party's elf mage expertly identifies various elixirs from healing potions to powerful antidotes. With shared determination, they agree to fully equip themselves for their first official mission. Desmond suddenly remembers to ask an important question about their finances. He asks Dorothy if they need to split the cost of their new supplies. Dorothy cheerfully explains that the clan will cover all their expenses, much to his surprise. He's moved by the clan's generosity, recalling how he had to pay for everything in his old party. This support strengthens his resolve, realizing the clan has placed great faith in them. After stocking up on a massive amount of clan-funded potions, they exit the shop. His thoughts turn to his former comrade, Adele, wondering about his current situation. The scene shifts to the Bristol Northern District, revealing the site of their first mission. They stand before the entrance to the C-rank dungeon known as Green Bites. Meanwhile, deep inside the dungeon, the silver-haired swordsman Adele struggles to catch his breath. His new party members look on with concern, shocked by their lack of progress. The party's tank grits his teeth, sweating under the pressure of the relentless assault. A horde of goblins surges forward, their glowing eyes filled with unexpected ferocity. Adele clenches his jaw in frustration, unable to understand his own powerlessness. He questions how his supposedly strong party is struggling against such weak monsters. A goblin leaps at him, seemingly baffled by how easily it can overpower the adventurers. The creature swings its club with surprising speed, catching the swordsman completely off guard. Adele barely manages to block the attack, the force of the impact rattling his arms. The blow sends him stumbling backward, completely overwhelmed by the monster's strength. His horrified teammates cry out as their lead attacker is easily knocked down. The party's mage recoils in fear as goblins close in around her. She desperately calls for their tank to protect her from the oncoming monster. The party descends into chaos, with the tank overwhelmed and yelling at the mage to use her own magic. Their tank questions why she isn't casting spells, but she insists she's unable to, leaving Adele to watch in disbelief. Seething with frustration, Adele realizes his party is completely falling apart. With no other choice, he orders a full retreat, activating an emergency teleportation scroll. The party reappears outside the dungeon completely exhausted and defeated from the ordeal. Adele furiously demands an explanation, baffled at how they failed a C-rank dungeon against mere goblins. The tank wonders if they made a mistake, but the healer confirms they were in the right low-level dungeon. She weakly suggests they might just be having an off day, though her own expression is filled with doubt. The support mage questions Adele's defeated party while he internally doubts their rumored strength. Adele erupts, furiously blaming the support mage's ineffective enchantments for their humiliating defeat. The pink-haired mage recoils in disbelief before her expression hardens with rage. She retorts sharply, shifting the blame back onto the rest of the party for their own powerlessness. She calls out their tank, pointing out his complete inability to hold the line against the monsters. Next, she criticizes their mage for casting only a few feeble spells before becoming useless. With a sneer, she reminds Adele that he, their lead attacker, was effortlessly taken down by a mere goblin. The support mage mocks the so-called Espada party, calling them pathetic weaklings who shouldn't blame her. Adele seethes with fury, his knuckles white as he struggles to contain his anger at her words. Snapping completely, he grabs the mage by her collar, his face contorted with rage as he threatens her. Unfazed by his threat, the mage glares back defiantly, telling him to stop. Adele cries out as is suddenly thrown backward with surprising force. With a single effortless shove, she sends the swordsman sprawling to the ground. His head hits the dirt with a humiliating thud, adding insult to injury. He grits his teeth in disbelief, utterly stunned by his own powerlessness. The other party members watch in horrified silence as their team completely falls apart. The support mage looks down on him with a smug, condescending smile. She openly mocks his pathetic attempt at intimidation, laughing at his weakness. With a final cutting remark, she dismisses him as simply weak. Adele's eye glows with murderous intent, his fury reaching its absolute peak. The mage calmly informs him there's no need to fire her as she takes a step away. She quits on the spot, refusing to work with such a useless group and warning them to stay away. With a final huff of disgust, she turns her back on the humiliated party and walks away. Adele seethes with impotent rage, cursing his complete and utter failure. He unleashes his frustration on a nearby rock, lumping all enchanters, including Desmond, into the same category. Clutching his head, he spirals into a rage, convinced every enchanter he's met is useless and annoying. The scene shifts back to the magnificent Chevalier Garden headquarters, a stark contrast to Adele's misery. Desmond's eyes sparkle with excitement as he thinks about their very first official mission. He clenches his fist, filled with determination to make his first job for the clan a resounding success. He dreams of climbing the ranks, hoping to one day stand beside Cynthia in the elite 1st Brigade. The party assembles for their first day, with Rin full of energy and Desmond politely greeting his new comrades. Desmond wonders about their first mission, while Dorothy reasons it will likely be a simple dungeon search. Rin confidently assumes their first job will be easy, earning a gentle reminder from Dorothy not to underestimate any task. A wide smile spreads across Desmond's face, genuinely happy to be undertaking a mission with this team. As the briefing room doors open, his excitement grows, ready for the adventure to begin. The scene cuts to a tense standoff between two stern-looking men, hinting at trouble elsewhere. Another group of adventurers is shown, their expressions filled with anger and animosity. The camera reveals a large hall filled with adventurers, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Desmond's party is taken aback by the sudden shift in atmosphere, sensing something is wrong. They notice the other clan members whispering amongst themselves, creating an air of mystery and concern. Rin celebrates their newfound fame, believing everyone is talking about their record-breaking exam performance. But the whispers tell a different story, accusing them of getting into the clan through powerful connections. Desmond's happy expression fades into confusion as he overhears the hostile rumors. A group of resentful adventurers confronts them, annoyed by what they perceive as arrogance. The rumors get more specific, pointing out Desmond's connection to the high-ranking Cynthia. Dorothy is also targeted, with others whispering that she too has a powerful guardian within the clan. The crowd's resentment boils over, with adventurers openly calling them cheaters and frauds. The entire hall turns against them, demanding the pathetic party leave immediately. Desmond desperately tries to defend his team, insisting it's all a misunderstanding and they didn't cheat. A commanding voice from a balcony above suddenly silences the angry mob, bringing the confrontation to a halt. The resentful adventurers glare, their faces etched with suspicion and jealousy. The entire hall watches with hostility, their collective gaze fixed on the newcomers. Desmond and Dorothy look up nervously, wondering who has come to their aid. A man with a bottle in hand addresses the crowd, announcing the presence of the 5th Brigade's new party. He introduces himself as Brandt, the captain of their brigade, leaving Desmond and Dorothy stunned. Desmond's mind reels in disbelief, unable to accept that this disheveled man is their leader. Their new captain is revealed to be completely drunk, offering them a slurred, overly familiar greeting. A vice-captain on the balcony desperately tries to rein in her intoxicated superior. Ignoring her, the captain clumsily decides to proceed with the mission briefing. He drunkenly announces their first assignment is to search the treacherous Imbale ice cave. Their primary objective is to retrieve the legendary gem of wisdom from the dungeon's depths. The crowd erupts in disbelief, recognizing the gem as a high-tier B-grade item. An adventurer furiously points out the ice cave is a B-rank dungeon, far too dangerous for them. Another member confronts Desmond, demanding an explanation for this seemingly impossible task. Desmond realizes the horrifying truth. Their D-rank brigade is being sent into a B-rank dungeon where they'll be completely wiped out. The adventurers panic, envisioning their swift and certain demise at the hands of powerful monsters. Their captain drunkenly admits that even with his own powerful magic, their success is far from guaranteed. He smirks, cryptically telling them this is the Chevalier's policy and a lesson in what it means to be a member. The party is left utterly baffled, trying to decipher the true meaning behind their captain's ominous words. Desmond's mind races, considering the sheer scale of the Chevalier clan and what their true purpose might be. Desmond comes to a horrifying conclusion. The clan sees D-rank adventurers as completely expendable. From the balcony, their drunk captain casually tells the panicked crowd to settle down. A sly knowing smile spreads across his face as he prepares to reveal another truth. He coldly confirms their suspicions, admitting that they are indeed just replacements. The hall erupts in outrage as the adventurers reel from the captain's blunt confession. Desmond struggles to accept this cruel reality, realizing the dark side of a large organization. He desperately tries to reconcile this harsh truth with the clan that Cynthia belongs to. The atmosphere in the hall grows thick with hostility as other adventurers voice their anger and fear. With a strained expression, Desmond silently prays that the day's chaos has finally reached its peak. Their captain ignores the uproar, explaining they've gathered 6 parties for a mission based on sheer numbers. A diagram reveals the massive scale of the 5th Brigade, showing Desmond's party is just one of many cannon fodder groups. The captain declares one party will lead the mission, demanding the others follow their orders like dogs. Desmond watches the other adventurers simmering rage, unimpressed by the captain's condescending tone. He desperately hopes to avoid the leadership role, only for the captain to announce party number 55 has been chosen. To his horror, the captain officially appoints Desmond's party as the leaders of the entire expedition. The hall erupts in silent fury as every other adventurer glares daggers at the newly appointed leaders. Disbelief and resentment spread through the crowd, who clearly see this as an act of favoritism. From his balcony, the drunk captain gives a final slowed farewell, completely unconcerned with the chaos he's caused. The briefing room doors slam shut, trapping the 6 parties in a room thick with tension. Desmond forces a pained smile, feeling the weight of 5 hostile parties ready to tear his team apart. The party is intimidated by the sheer scale of the Chevalier headquarters as they prepare for their mission. Their destination is revealed, the treacherous and massive Mesval Ice Cave. Dorothy confirms their fears, explaining the B-rank dungeon is known for its high difficulty. They cautiously enter the cave, immediately hit by a bone-chilling drop in temperature. A single step onto the slick frozen ground highlights the perilous environment. Desmond looks on in amazement as he learns the magical ice dungeon is continuously expanding. He marvels at the ancient artificial structure with walls and pillars carved entirely from ice. Rin playfully reminds everyone to stay alert, though her cheerful demeanor contrasts with the danger. She skips ahead, surprised that she doesn't feel the cold despite her breath turning to mist. Desmond proudly reveals his magic is at work, having already cast a cold resistance buff on the entire party. The girls are amazed as Desmond explains his enchantment negates the need for bulky winter gear. Rin marvels at his versatile magic, while he humbly notes it will need to be recast eventually. She grabs his arm excitedly, showering him with praise for his incredible talent. Rin jokes about wanting him as a personal healer, clinging to him as he looks on awkwardly. He tries to bring her back to reality, warning that they can't afford to let their guard down. As he speaks, another adventurer's spiked boot slips precariously on the slick ice floor. The man stumbles forward, his fall sending him crashing directly into Desmond. Desmond is knocked to the ground with Rin calling out his name in alarm. The adventurer who fell furiously blames Rin, but she retorts that he should be the one apologizing. The leader of another party intervenes, angrily accusing them of messing around instead of focusing on the mission. The rival party's leader sneers, openly voicing his hatred for adventurers who rely on connections. Rin furiously stomps her foot, vehemently denying his accusations while getting comically enraged. The adventurer who fell smirks over his shoulder, convinced their leadership role was secured through cheating. The entire expedition turns on them, their voices rising in a chorus of threats and demands for them to leave. Desmond desperately tries to calm the mob while a fuming Rin complains about all the noise. Fed up with the insults, Rin's expression hardens as she decides to prove their worth through action, shocking Desmond. She boldly challenges the entire group, ready to demonstrate her skills instead of listening to rumors. The rival leader's eye twitches with rage, clearly provoked by her defiant challenge. He furiously accepts her challenge as his own party members prepare for a brawl, much to Desmond's horror. The rival leader rallies his troops, ordering them to attack and forcibly eject the cheaters from the dungeon. Desmond desperately pleads for cooperation, reminding the hostile group that they are all supposed to be allies. His words are completely ignored as the furious adventurers charge forward ready to attack. Unfazed by the mob, Rin smirks and leaps into action, ready to take them all on herself. Desmond suddenly panics, realizing with dizzying horror that his enchantments aren't working as intended. The rival adventurers mockingly surround him, sarcastically praising his attempt to protect his party. An attacker lands a solid blow to Desmond's face, furiously accusing him of cheating his way into the clan. With a bloody nose, he tries to protest their innocence, insisting it's all a misunderstanding. His pleas are met with a brutal kick as his attacker scoffs that all cheaters claim innocence. The angry mob pins him to the ground, venting their frustration about his perceived special treatment. While Desmond is being overwhelmed, Rin fiercely engages another adventurer, blocking a powerful strike. Rin's eyes burn with fury as she prepares to unleash her counterattack. She lands a powerful kick, sending the surprised adventurer reeling from the impact. Her opponent stares back in confusion, completely unfazed by the direct hit. Rin recoils in pain, realizing her attack had no effect on the surprisingly durable man. Impressed, she praises his resilience, mistaking him for a famous tank who nervously denies the title. The other parties, now convinced it's all nepotism, decide to overwhelm them with numbers. As they charge, the rival adventurers slip and slide on the treacherous ice floor. Rin finds herself quickly restrained by the angry mob, unable to fight back effectively. Dorothy is also cornered, calling out in distress as the situation spirals out of control. A single firm step echoes through the cave, signaling the arrival of an unknown figure. Dorothy's eyes widen in alarm as she senses a new unseen danger. The sound sends a ripple of confusion through the other adventurers who halt their attack. Lying on the ground, Desmond realizes his enchantment is interacting with the dungeon in an unexpected way. As his attacker moves to kick him, Desmond desperately tries to finish casting his spell. Dorothy cries out a desperate warning, trying to get everyone's attention. She pleads with the hostile parties to stop, sensing the imminent danger is far greater than their petty squabble. The rival leader scoffs, telling them the only way out is to quit the Chevalier clan entirely. As she's restrained, Dorothy frantically tries to warn them about the treacherous ice beneath their feet. Suddenly, razor-sharp ice spikes begin to protrude from the dungeon floor, revealing a hidden trap. The other adventurers freeze, realizing with dawning horror that their brawl has just activated the dungeon's defenses. The rival adventurers stare in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the sudden danger. The entire ice floor shatters, revealing a deep, dark abyss beneath them. Dozens of adventurers are sent plummeting into the newly formed chasm. The group cries out in shock and pain as they tumble through the air. Rin and the rival tanks slide uncontrollably down a steep icy incline. Dorothy's party desperately tries to regain their balance on the treacherous slope. The rival leader screams in terror, realizing the floor has completely disappeared. He and his party members flail wildly, trying to stop their descent. Desmond watches in horror as an adventurer falls past him into the spike-filled trap below. Desmond and the others are sent into a free fall, their faces contorted with fear as they drop into the chasm. Razor-sharp ice spikes glint menacingly, promising a grim fate for those who fell. The few adventurers left on the ledge cry out in horror watching their comrades vanish into the trap. A wide view reveals the devastating aftermath with dozens of adventurers strewn across the icy pit. The survivors stare in shock, believing their entire expedition has been annihilated in an instant. Other adventurers who avoided the fall are frozen in disbelief, unable to comprehend the disaster. But just as all hope seems lost, a mysterious green aura surrounds a hand neutralizing the deadly ice. The remaining adventurers, including Dorothy and the rival leader, are baffled by this sudden turn of events. All eyes turn to Desmond, who is now glowing with the same protective magical energy. Dorothy's expression shifts from shock to curiosity, trying to understand the source of the magic. The fallen adventurers look at their own hands in amazement, realizing they are alive and unharmed. An adventurer realizes he took no damage, observing that the ice spikes shattered against his body. The fallen adventurers erupt in celebration, overjoyed to find they are all completely safe. The rival leader expresses his relief, but his mind races to understand how they survived the certain doom. His eyes narrow with suspicion as he scans the area, searching for the source of this miracle. His gaze finally settles on Desmond, who is lying on the ice floor still glowing with protective magic. Despite his injuries, Desmond is the epicenter of the green aura, his staff pulsing with power. The rival leader and his companions stare in utter disbelief, struggling to accept what they are seeing. The other adventurers look up from the pit, their hostility replaced with awe and confusion. Desmond grits his teeth, the green energy flickering as he struggles to push himself up from the ice. He manages to rise, explaining he cast a body enhancement spell on everyone just in time, but warns it's temporary. He warns them the protection is temporary and they must find a way out before more traps activate. Spurred into action, the rival leader orders everyone to use ropes and pull the fallen adventurers up. The once hostile parties finally work together, rescuing their comrades from the icy chasm. After a frantic effort, the rival leader confirms that all the adventurers have been safely evacuated from the pit. With the immediate danger over, Desmond's strength finally gives out and he stumbles on the ice. He collapses to his knees from exhaustion as his teammates rush to his side in alarm. The rival adventurers watch in stunned silence, realizing Desmond was casting his spell even as they attacked him. The rival leader had assumed the enchantment was only for Desmond's teammates, but now he understands the truth. A flashback reveals Desmond was desperately trying to cast the protective spell on his very own attackers. The rival leader finally grasps that even while being brutalized, Desmond's only thought was to save them. The rival leader and his party stare in stunned silence, their previous animosity completely gone. The other adventurers look on, their faces a mixture of guilt and disbelief at what just happened. The rival leader's eyes narrow, the weight of his actions finally dawning on him. He recalls Desmond's earlier plea for them to act as comrades, a memory now filled with shame. With a grimace, the rival leader makes a silent decision to atone for his mistake. He approaches Desmond's party, offering them recovery potions as a gesture of peace. Desmond humbly apologizes for using so many resources, much to his teammates' concern. Rin bows deeply, taking full responsibility for the brawl and apologizing for not heeding his warning. Desmond looks on, surprised by her apology and the sudden shift in the group's dynamic. The once hostile adventurers now eagerly offer their own items, overwhelming the party with gifts as compensation. Desmond stares in disbelief as Rin presents an armful of recovery items from the other adventurers. The rival leader awkwardly scratches his head, formally apologizing for his earlier outburst. He extends a hand in peace, acknowledging Desmond's true power and asking for his help as a comrade. The sudden shift to respect leaves Desmond's entire party stunned and speechless. Even his attackers apologize profusely, making him cringe with their overly familiar nicknames. With the conflict resolved, the once hostile adventurers now celebrate their newfound unity. But from the shadows, a mysterious new adventurer observes the scene with a smirk. She identifies the party from the exam rumors and sets her sights on recruiting their talented enchanter. Suddenly, the ground rumbles as a massive ice creature begins to form from the dungeon walls. The unified adventurers turn to Desmond, their new leader, asking how their D-rank parties can possibly survive. Desmond thoughtfully acknowledges the dungeon's true danger, a plan already forming in his mind. He proposes a simple solution to the confused adventurers: just avoid all the enemies and traps. With a determined look, he reveals his audacious plan to neutralize the dungeon by destroying its core. He explains to the group that shattering the core will weaken the dungeon, making their mission far easier. The rival leader considers the new objective, but questions the logistics of finding the core in such a massive place. Desmond dismisses a simple search as inefficient, pointing out it would turn into a race against other parties. A map reveals the dungeon is a complex maze. He reminds them they aren't the only ones searching its depths. The rival leader grimly agrees, knowing that other groups would gladly steal their hard-earned treasure. A spark of inspiration hits Desmond as he declares his new decisive strategy for the entire group. He lays out the plan. His party will spearhead the assault on the core while the others secure the area and collect loot. The rival leader questions if Desmond's small party can handle retrieving the Gem of Wisdom alone. Desmond confidently declares they can succeed, trusting in his powerful multiplication enchantment. He realized that the clan's true intention was for the large group to split up and tackle different objectives. The other adventurers remain skeptical, remembering the captain's cruel words about them being expendable. Desmond struggles with this harsh reality, refusing to believe Cynthia's clan could be so callous. Pushing his doubts aside, he rallies the entire expedition, who cheer in unified agreement to succeed. With a determined expression, Desmond prepares to lead the charge, Ren excitedly following his lead. Even his former rivals shout their support, now fully committed to the new unified strategy. The camera pans up to the glittering frozen ceiling of the vast dungeon. Their path is revealed, a long treacherous ice corridor leading deeper into the unknown. The party ventures deeper into the glistening frozen labyrinth. Desmond's expression grows serious as he takes charge of their new path. He quickly warns Ren away from a dangerous route, pointing them toward a safer passage. Desmond reminds his own small party to stay vigilant against the dungeon's hidden traps and monsters. As their tank Garen speaks up, Desmond listens with a thoughtful expression. The dwarf admits his relief they managed to make peace with the other adventurers. A warm smile spreads across Desmond's face as he wholeheartedly agrees with his new comrade. He recalls the initial chaos, feeling lost and overwhelmed by the accusations of cheating. But now he realizes that everyone is much kinder than he ever expected. Surrounded by newfound friends, Desmond discovers the simple joy of camaraderie and teamwork. He stresses to his party that their plan absolutely cannot fail. A diagram illustrates the grim alternative. Without the core's destruction, every party will inevitably be wiped out. He apologizes for taking the lead on such a risky mission but asks for their full support. With unwavering conviction, Desmond declares his simple heartfelt goal to ensure everyone survives. Rin breaks the tension with a confident laugh, wholeheartedly accepting his leadership. She playfully teases him for being too formal, rallying the group with a more energetic and unified spirit. But their moment of camaraderie is cut short by an unfamiliar voice from the side. Desmond and Rin turn in surprise, caught off guard by the sudden interruption. The mysterious adventurer from before steps forward, confidently offering to join their crucial mission. A flustered Desmond is left completely speechless, having no idea who this new group is. The mysterious adventurer introduces her group as Party Number 24, approaching Desmond's team. Their leader, a woman named Meryl, gives a confident and alluring smile. A stoic man named Gant introduces himself with a cool, appraising look. Another member, Zaneri, gives a shy but smug introduction. The final member, a quiet adventurer named Jin, timidly introduces themselves. Desmond warily asks what she means by joining them, but Meryl simply reaffirms her intentions. She argues that his small party is vulnerable and would be much safer with her group's help. Meryl then shifts her focus, praising Desmond for the incredible enchantment he cast earlier. She suddenly pulls the flustered enchanter into a tight embrace, declaring she's taken a liking to him. Meryl boldly tries to recruit him on the spot, leaving his teammates completely stunned and furious. Rin furiously tells Meryl to back off, declaring that Desmond belongs to their party. Unfazed, Meryl reveals she's heard the rumors and now understands their situation completely. Her stoic companion questions how they passed the exam so quickly despite their reputation as the worst party. Meryl correctly deduces that Desmond's power alone carried his otherwise weak teammates through the exam. Rin erupts in fury as Meryl condescendingly pities Desmond for being stuck with such weak companions. With a sly smile, Meryl suggests that if they truly cared for him, they would let him join a stronger team. Her words hit their mark, leaving Rin, Dorothy, and Garen speechless and filled with self-doubt. Dorothy's hand clenches into a tight fist, her silent fury building at the blatant manipulation. Desmond struggles against Meryl's grip, desperately trying to defend his teammates and deny her claims. His eyes burn with conviction as he struggles to make her understand the truth of their teamwork. Rin explodes with rage, reminding Meryl they are the same rank in staking her claim on Desmond. Meryl scoffs at the comparison, insisting her strength is far superior to Rin's trash level. A comically enraged Rin demands clarification on the type of trash, leaving Desmond bewildered by her focus. Meryl's companion, Gant, calmly explains that his leader is stubborn and always gets what she wants. Garen playfully teases Desmond about his newfound popularity while Gant confirms Meryl's determination to recruit him. The argument devolves into a fierce face-to-face shouting match between the two rivals. Utterly exhausted by the drama, Desmond comically decides to withdraw from the conflict entirely. Rin and Meryl corner him, demanding he choose which party he will join. Overwhelmed by the pressure, Desmond comically melts into the ice floor to escape their bickering. He resurfaces with a strained smile, trying to explain that he doesn't have to choose between them. A loud cracking sound echoes through the cave, stopping their argument cold. The bickering parties look around in alarm, wondering about the source of the noise. Ignoring the danger, Rin dashes off toward the sound, prompting a panicked warning from Desmond. Dorothy and Gerund agree to follow Rin, but Meryl tries to stop Desmond from leaving. She grabs his arm insisting he come with her and a stronger party instead. Meryl presses her point, asking if he wouldn't rather have powerful allies than weak ones. Desmond pauses, his expression unreadable as he considers her manipulative question. He calmly rejects her logic, much to the surprise of Meryl and her stoic companion. With a genuine smile, Desmond explains that their supposed weakness is precisely what makes them a great team. His heartfelt response leaves Meryl completely speechless and confused. Desmond's eyes widen as a sudden chilling realization dawns on him. He finally understands the clan's true policy. The D-rank adventurers were always meant to be disposable. Rin's urgent cry snaps him back to reality, alerting him to the immediate danger. Taking command, Desmond declares that his party and Meryl's will form a joint team to destroy the core. The newly formed alliance ventures down a long foreboding ice corridor. Two parties once rivals now walk side by side into the dungeon's depths. The temperature suddenly plummets, causing a party member's potion to crack and freeze solid in his hand. He recoils in shock, realizing the potion froze instantly just from touching the icy wall. Rin suddenly calls out to Desmond, pointing toward a new discovery up ahead. In the distance, menacing figures made of pure ice begin to stir, revealing a dangerous new enemy. Jagged shards of ice begin to crackle and coalesce from the dungeon wall. The ethereal crystals rapidly form into the powerful limbs of a new monster. A colossal ice golem with a single glowing eye towers over the adventurers. The group stares in horror as Dorothy identifies the creature as an ice golem. The rival leader pales, realizing they've stumbled upon the dungeon's final boss. But before the golem, a smaller wolf-like ice creature snarls menacingly. The golems are glints, locking onto the much smaller ice wolf in front of it. A powerful blue aura flares around the golem as it prepares to strike. It raises its massive arm and smashes it down, completely obliterating the smaller monster. The ice wolf is instantly shattered into 1,000 pieces, demonstrating the golem's overwhelming power. The entire group stares in stunned silence, their faces comically frozen in a state of pure shock. Peeking from behind a wall of ice, the adventurers collectively agree that the situation is dire. While the others panic and suggest a retreat, Rin spots something crucial behind the monster. A golden beam of light illuminates their target, the dungeon core sitting right behind the colossal golem. The group despairs, realizing they have to defeat the final boss to complete their mission. Rin confidently steps forward, reassuring the panicked adventurers that everything will be fine. She cheerfully declares that with Desmond's enchantments, the boss will be no match for them, much to his unease. Desmond's eye glows with a brilliant blue light as he activates his appraisal skill to assess the threat. A holographic window appears, scanning the ice golem to reveal its hidden strengths and weaknesses. The results are horrifying, showing the golem's stats are far beyond anything they've ever faced. Desmond calmly explains that while his magic multiplies stats, it has a crucial limitation. The sheer power of the golem seems to warp the very air around them. The rival leader's hope shatters as Desmond confirms that even with his enchantments, they cannot defeat the golem. Desmond apologizes, admitting their base stats are simply too low for his magic to bridge the power gap. The adventurers stare at the golem in despair, believing their mission is now impossible. But Desmond refuses to give up, his mind racing as he searches for another solution. He reveals a new plan. They can't defeat the boss, but they might be able to withstand its attacks. He proposes casting a powerful vitality enhancement on everyone to drastically boost their defense. With their defenses buffed, they can simply ignore the golem's attacks and rush straight for the core. A comical depiction shows Rin gleefully chipping away at the golem's leg, illustrating their new reckless strategy. The rival leader recalls the impressive enchantment that saved them earlier, but remains skeptical. He leans in, questioning if a simple defense buff can truly withstand the golem's overwhelming power. Desmond tries to calm their nerves, but the others are still shaken by the sheer audacity of the plan. He confidently reassures them that he's checked their stats and their enhanced defense will be more than enough. But his confident expression falters as he realizes someone is missing from the group. Desmond looks around in confusion, calling out for Rin, who has suddenly vanished. Without waiting for the plan, Rin recklessly charges forward, demanding Desmond cast his spell. The party panics, realizing their hot-headed brawler has jumped the gun before her defenses are up. Meryl watches the chaotic scene unfold, muttering in disbelief at Rin's foolishness. She wonders how anyone could have such blind faith in magic to charge headfirst into certain danger. Rin fearlessly launches herself at the colossal golem, completely ignoring the mortal danger. The golem's massive eye swivels, locking onto the tiny reckless attacker with surprise. The rest of the party panics, urging a stressed-out Desmond to cast the enhancement spell immediately. With a determined shout, Desmond begins to channel his magic, a green aura flaring around him. His eyes narrow in intense concentration as he focuses all his power into the spell. But to his shock, the enhancement magic fails to activate, leaving him utterly confused. He looks down to see the crystal on his staff has been completely encased in a block of solid ice. Desmond's face contorts in comical horror as he realizes his primary weapon is useless. A flashback reveals he accidentally touched the super-chilled wall, freezing his staff just like the potion. He panics, realizing that without his staff, he's completely unable to cast his crucial enchantments. Dorothy and the others look on in shock, realizing the enchantment failed at the worst possible moment. The golem's massive eye glints, locking onto its now defenseless target. With Rin completely exposed, the colossal monster prepares to unleash a devastating attack. Rin's confidence wavers as a storm of razor-sharp ice shards hurtles toward her. The golem unleashes a deadly barrage, sending a volley of ice spikes directly at the brawler. Her eyes widen in terror as she finally comprehends the mortal danger she's in. The party watches in horror, certain that their reckless teammate is about to be annihilated. But at the last second, Meryl dives in, tackling Rin to the ground and out of the line of fire. Meryl glares down at the stunned Rin, urging her to move before the golem strikes again. The golem's eye cracks with fury, enraged that its initial attack was thwarted. The golem unleashes another volley of ice spikes, forcing Rin and Meryl to scramble for cover. The rest of the party watches in terror, realizing the two barely survived the onslaught. Back on their feet, Meryl glares at Rin, furious at her recklessness as the golem prepares to strike again. The monster's crystalline body glows with power, drawing in loose ice shards to amplify its next attack. Rin's eyes widen in alarm as she notices Meryl has been injured in the chaos. A close-up shows a large ice shard has pierced through Meryl's leg armor. Meryl grits her teeth in pain, realizing she was wounded while saving her rival. Overcome with guilt, Rin grabs Meryl's arm to steady her. Rin supports the injured Meryl, a new sense of responsibility in her eyes. Meryl urges Rin to escape, but Rin fiercely refuses, insisting she won't abandon the one who just saved her life. As another deadly volley of ice shards rains down, Rin defiantly holds her ground with the injured Meryl. But the attack is suddenly blocked, shattering against a massive newly formed ice shield. Rin and Meryl look up in stunned disbelief, wondering where the miraculous protection came from. Their savior is revealed to be Garand, who rushed in with his shield just in the nick of time. With a determined glare, the dwarf warns them he can't hold the position for long and urges them to move. But his heroic moment is cut short as he comically trips and face plants onto the ice floor. Meryl panics as Rin warns that the golem is already preparing its next devastating assault. The three adventurers huddle together in comical terror, completely out of options. Suddenly, a wave of intense fire erupts from behind them, melting the incoming ice spikes midair. Rin and Meryl stare in utter shock, completely baffled by the appearance of fire in a frozen dungeon. The party's mage, Dorothy, reveals she neutralized the attack with a powerful spell, stunning Rin with her hidden strength. However, Dorothy comically collapses, admitting she's completely out of mana after that single powerful cast. The other adventurers panic, realizing their situation has only gotten worse with more people now stranded and in danger. A panicked Desmond orders the others to regroup, desperately trying to regain control of the situation. He grips his frozen staff, his mind racing as he frantically searches for a way out of their impossible situation. The weight of their failure crashes down on him as he blames himself for the chaos. He recalls his arrogant plan, realizing his overconfidence in his own magic has doomed them all. A single tear escapes his eye as is overwhelmed by the horrifying thought that everyone will die because of his mistake. The cruel words of his former party echo in his mind, calling him useless and incapable. Utterly defeated, he accepts their harsh judgment, believing he truly is powerless to save anyone. He sinks into despair, believing he's nothing more than an incompetent burden to his team. The other adventurers spiral into chaos, completely lost without a leader to guide them. Even Rin seems to accept their grim fate, a look of strained resignation on her face. But his moment of self-pity is violently interrupted by a hand grabbing his shirt. The rival leader yanks him forward, demanding to know what he's doing. With a flushed face, the rival leader angrily calls him useless, trying to provoke a reaction. Desmond is completely stunned, jolted out of his depressive state by the sudden confrontation. The rival leader then challenges him, asking if he truly believes he's worthless. A tearful Desmond looks up, finally understanding his former rival's desperate attempt to help. The rival leader scolds him for giving up while everyone else is fighting, comically revealing he was drinking on the job. The rival leader defensively insists his drinking is a crucial part of his strategy as a medic. He then begins pouring the bottle's contents directly onto Desmond's frozen staff. Desmond stares in utter confusion, wondering why his staff is getting an alcohol bath. The rival leader proudly explains his clever tactic. Alcohol doesn't freeze in these temperatures. A helpful diagram explains the scientific principle behind alcohol's low freezing point. He admits that the liquid alone is only as effective as lukewarm water against the thick ice. But when combined with his own body heat, it becomes a powerful de-icing agent. Hope sparks in Desmond's eyes as he witnesses the ice on his staff begin to melt away. As the staff thaws, the golem's relentless assault continues in the background. Razor-sharp ice shards continue to fly, reminding them their time is quickly running out. The stranded party members brace for impact, their faces etched with fear and resignation. The rival leader grimly accepts their fate, acknowledging they can't evade the attacks forever. Meryl urges him to save everyone, but he comically refuses, insisting he'd rather be saved himself. As the golem prepares another assault, the rival leader despairs, convinced a B-rank dungeon is insurmountable. The golem unleashes a blinding wave of power, its sheer force overwhelming the adventurers. Desmond watches with intense focus, the pressure mounting as his friends face certain doom. But a sudden green aura envelops the group, leaving them stunned to find they've survived the blast. Rin looks up in disbelief, recognizing the familiar surge of protective magic. With his staff finally free, Desmond stands firm, unleashing a massive enchantment that shields his allies. He calmly announces his recovery as a system window confirms the successful cast of his enhancement magic. The rival leader comically complains about getting frostbite from his own clever de-icing strategy. Re-energized by the enchantment, the entire party cheers for Desmond, their hope fully restored. Desmond's staff pulses with immense green energy, now fully operational and ready to be unleashed. With his confidence reignited, Desmond stands tall, prepared to turn the tide of battle. His eyes burn with a newfound resolve, his moment of weakness completely erased. The ice golem's eye glints, sensing the sudden and dramatic shift in power from the adventurers. He grips his staff tightly, asking his allies if they are prepared for the final push. With a unified battle cry, the newly empowered party prepares to launch their assault. A green magical footprint appears on his staff, hinting at an unconventional new tactic. Desmond roars the command to attack, unleashing the full force of his magic. Rin feels her vitality and strength surge as Desmond's powerful enchantments take hold. The rival party members are also enveloped in the green aura, their mana recovery greatly enhanced. Dorothy's mental fortitude is bolstered, allowing her to focus her magic under extreme pressure. The rival medic's frostbite instantly vanishes, a testament to the newly amplified healing magic. Undeterred, the ice golem unleashes another massive volley of razor-sharp ice shards. But this time, the empowered adventurers gracefully evade the deadly projectiles with ease. Meryl confidently taunts the golem, effortlessly weaving through its once unstoppable attacks. Rin lands with a triumphant grin, finding the once lethal assault to be almost trivial. A panicked Desmond desperately tries to get their attention, reminding them of the true plan. He redirects their focus to the real target, the glowing dungeon core just behind the colossal boss. Desmond stomps his staff down, declaring that destroying the core is their only path to victory. Now glowing with power, Rin confidently accepts the mission and rushes forward. With a fierce grin, she prepares to deliver the final blow, certain of their success. But the ice golem retaliates, its eye locking onto her as it swings its massive arm. Dorothy cries out in warning as she sees Rin charging directly into the monster's path. Rin's confidence shatters as she realizes the golem's attack is aimed right at her. She's thrown back by the force of the impact, barely managing to withstand the blow. Dorothy rushes to her side as a frustrated Rin laments how close she was to the core. The rival party members watch in horror as the golem prepares to strike again. Their despair deepens as they see the dungeon core suddenly encased in a thick protective layer of ice. The adventurers watch in dismay as the dungeon core begins to sink into the golem's body. The rival medic shouts in frustration, realizing the monster is trying to hide its only weakness. As the core sinks deeper, they realize that once it's gone, their mission will be a complete failure. The rival party members panic, desperately asking what they are supposed to do now. But as panic spreads, Desmond's eyes narrow with steely resolve, a new plan already taking shape. He takes command, shouting out his new plan for a diversion tactic. He explains the strategy. Everyone will draw the boss's attention, creating an opening for one person to strike the core. Meryl immediately volunteers for the crucial role, confident that her speed is unmatched. The core is now almost completely out of sight, giving them only one shot at victory. United by a single purpose, the entire party surges forward to execute their final desperate gambit. The party members taunt the golem, desperately trying to draw its attention. Its massive head turns, its single eye filled with growing annoyance at the distractions. Garand and the rival medic comically stumble around, successfully making themselves irritating targets. The golem takes the bait, its crystalline body crackling as it prepares to crush the decoys. Seeing the opening, Desmond shouts the signal for their real plan to begin. Rin's eyes narrow with fierce determination, ready to seize the critical opportunity. She sprints across the ice, a tiny figure charging toward the colossal distracted monster. The rival leader watches with a strained expression, desperately hoping she makes it in time. Dorothy and the others can only watch in terror, praying for their plan to succeed. Meanwhile, the decoys barely evade a massive ice spike, showing the true danger of their role. With a look of steely determination, Desmond knows the fate of his comrades rests on this single crucial strike. He's haunted by a vision of his former party, their smug face as a painful reminder of his past humiliation. With incredible speed, Meryl launches herself into the air, aiming a decisive blow at the golem's weakness. Her face contorts with fierce concentration as she pours every ounce of her strength into the attack. With a final desperate shout, she slams her blade down, shattering the ice around the core. But instead of shattering, her sword meets an unyielding surface with a jarring impact. A wild triumphant grin spreads across her face, certain that she has destroyed the core. But the reflection in her eye reveals a horrifying sight. The core is now protected by a new crystalline barrier. She looks down in shock to see her blade stopped cold by a thick newly formed layer of protective crystal. The other party members cry out in shock. Their face is a mask of horror as they realize the final gambit has failed. They realize the golem is intelligently defending its core while simultaneously attacking them. The rival leader's face drains of color as the grim reality of their situation sinks in. Desmond's hope completely shatters, convinced that they are utterly doomed. He stares at the reinforced core, believing their one and only chance has been lost forever. The glowing core continues to recede, threatening to disappear from their reach entirely. The rest of the party watches in terror as their window of opportunity rapidly closes. A single tear escapes Desmond's eye as he finally accepts their complete and utter defeat. But a defiant shout cuts through the despair, refusing to let them surrender. The sudden cry snaps Desmond out of his stupor, his eyes widening in surprise. It's Rin, her face a mask of fierce determination as she rallies her defeated comrades. Inspired by her defiance, the rival party's archer grips his bow with renewed purpose. The others look on, startled by this sudden unexpected burst of action. The archer launches himself into the air, knocking an arrow as he soars toward the golem. He roars that if one person's attack fails, another will always be there to follow up. His defiant cry strikes a chord with Desmond, who looks up with dawning comprehension. He recalls the clan leader's cruel philosophy, now seeing it in a new defiant light. Channeling all his power, the archer unleashes a single brilliant arrow of light. The projectile streaks across the battlefield, a golden blow aimed at the golem's weak point. The golem's eye cracks, registering the incoming threat just a moment too late. With a thunderous impact, the arrow strikes the crystalline shield, shattering it on contact. The rival medic panics, realizing the golem will regenerate its shield before the arrow can strike the core. With a determined cry, Dorothy refuses to let their final chance slip away. She unleashes a powerful fireball aiming to clear a path for the incoming arrow. The golden arrow continues its trajectory, flying through the fiery explosion toward its target. In a brilliant flash of light, the arrow pierces the exposed dungeon core. Desmond and the rival leader stare in utter astonishment at the impossible success. The entire party, including a wide-eyed Rin, watches the scene unfold in disbelief. The other adventurers look on, their expressions a mixture of shock and dawning hope. A massive crack spreads across the dungeon core, which then shatters into 1,000 glowing fragments. Desmond's face is a mask of pure shock and relief as he processes their unbelievable victory. Dorothy and the rival leader can only stare as the glowing fragments of the core rain down. The other adventurers are equally dumbfounded, their faces frozen in disbelief. Desmond's jaw hangs open, the reality of their impossible victory slowly sinking in. The ice golem's body begins to crack and fall apart, its power source completely obliterated. As the monster collapses, a massive wave of frigid water erupts from the ground, engulfing the battlefield. The party is suddenly drenched, shivering uncontrollably as the dungeon's temperature plummets. The icy walls of the chamber begin to groan and shatter, revealing the stone structure beneath. A massive stone pillar emerges from the melting ice, changing the landscape of the room. An ancient stone archway is revealed, hinting at a hidden passage or the way out. The party stands in the middle of the thawing dungeon, realizing their victory has triggered a massive transformation. A flashback shows Desmond's initial shock upon discovering the entirely frozen dungeon. The memory focuses on the imposing figure of the ice golem, a seemingly invincible guardian. The rival leader playfully reminds Desmond of his own theory about destroying the core to defeat the monster. Dorothy and a stunned Rin look on, waiting for the official word on their success. With a firm grip on his staff, Desmond prepares to make their victory official. The entire party erupts in cheers as they officially declare the mission a resounding success. His former rivals now shower him with praise, acknowledging his incredible leadership. An ecstatic Rin tackles Desmond with a hug, but he humbly deflects the credit for their victory. With a grateful smile, he acknowledges that their victory was only possible because everyone was there. A final flashback shows the daunting golem and its glowing core, a stark reminder of the challenge they conquered as a team. As the celebration continues, the party's attention is caught by an unexpected glowing object. A brilliant red artifact, the legendary Gem of Wisdom, materializes before them. The rival party members stare in shock, realizing their quest item was hidden here all along. Meryl smirks as the others celebrate conquering a B-rank dungeon and completing their task. Before anyone can react, she swiftly snatches the valuable gem out of the air. Her sudden move leaves Desmond and the rival party completely dumbfounded. With a triumphant and provocative gesture, she claims the treasure as her own. She then dangles the gem as bait, offering Desmond a place in her party if he wants it. The rival leader glares annoyed that Meryl is still trying to poach their star player. Meryl just grins, declaring that his performance has only made her more determined to recruit him. Rin furiously confronts Meryl, arguing that the treasure was a team effort and belongs to everyone. Meryl scoffs at the accusation, clutching the gem as the rival leader timidly asks to see it. She defiantly refuses, declaring the gem is her leverage to force Desmond into a party. Meryl then turns to Desmond, smugly asking what he plans to do about the situation. His expression darkens with annoyance, clearly fed up with her manipulative games. In a shocking twist, the rival leader suddenly lunges at Meryl, demanding she surrender the gem. The force of the sudden attack leaves Meryl stunned and reeling from the unexpected impact. A crazed, flushed look appears on the rival leader's face, proud of his aggressive move. Desmond stares in utter disbelief, completely caught off guard by his rival's violent outburst. Dorothy and Gerund are equally frozen in shock, watching the chaotic scene unfold. Rin and the rival archer can only stare, completely stunned by the sudden turn of events. In a shocking betrayal, a silver-haired swordsman from the rival party strikes down both Meryl and the other leader. A flash of red reflects in Desmond's eye as he witnesses the brutal, unexpected attack. The rest of the adventurers are left speechless, unable to process the sudden betrayal. The traitor then turns on Desmond, landing a vicious blow that sends him to the ground. Desmond cries out in pain, completely caught off guard by the assault from a supposed ally. As the traitor stands over him, Rin and Dorothy rush forward, their faces a mask of fury. The traitor's own party members react with outrage, horrified by his sudden turn. The archer furiously demands an explanation from his teammate, identified as Jin. Jin calmly reveals the stolen gem, declaring his sanity and confirming his deliberate betrayal. Jin stands over his downed comrades, revealing the gem was his true objective from the start. He coldly explains that he would have preferred a peaceful resolution, but Meryl's refusal forced his hand. The archer stares in disbelief, reminding Jin of their supposed friendship. Jin scoffs at the notion, pointing to the fallen Desmond as proof that some people are just meant to be used. The archer's eyes widen in horror as he recalls a past conversation, realizing his own party preys on others. With a sinister grin, Jin reveals his allegiance to a criminal organization known as the Black Underarm. Rin and Dorothy are frozen in shock, barely able to comprehend the name of the infamous group. The traitor laughs, confirming he only infiltrated their party for his own gain and never considered them friends. The archer grits his teeth, his face contorted with rage at the devastating betrayal. Overcome with fury, the archer unleashes an arrow, aiming to strike down his treacherous former ally. Jin clicks his tongue in annoyance, his eyes cold and dismissive of the incoming attack. He effortlessly deflects the arrow with his sword, deeming the attempt completely futile. The archer watches in disbelief as Jin mocks his strength, claiming to already know his limits. JYN scoffs at the rest of the party, revealing their enhancement magic has faded, leaving them powerless. He smugly reveals his own power level is far beyond C rank, a fact he had kept hidden. The archer's face twists with frustration, realizing the massive gap in their abilities. Rin and Dorothy glare defiantly, their anger mixing with the dawning horror of their situation. Goran sweats nervously as Jin explains that with his identity revealed, there's no need for pretense. The traitor glances at his fallen comrades, confirming he has no intention of leaving any witnesses. With a sinister grin and glowing red eyes, Jin declares his intent to eliminate everyone present. With a single word, Jin lunges forward, a blur of motion intent on finishing them all. Desmond lies motionless on the icy ground, completely at the mercy of the traitor. The remaining adventurers can only watch in horror as the silver-haired swordsman closes in. His mind fades into darkness, overwhelmed by the pain and the shock of the betrayal. The archer clenches his jaw, cursing their powerlessness in the face of this overwhelming threat. He screams at Rin and the others, realizing their only hope is to scatter and run for their lives. Taking charge, the archer hoists the unconscious Desmond onto his back, ready to make a break for it. But Jin instantly appears before him, his blade ready to cut down any who dare to flee. A cruel smile spreads across Jin's face as he promises that no witnesses will be leaving this dungeon. The archer desperately tries to block the attack, but Jin's blade descends with unstoppable force. The archer's eyes widen in terror as he stares down his own demise. He braces for the final blow, shielding the unconscious Desmond with his own body. But Jin's expression twists with annoyance as his attack fails to connect. The archer glances back, his initial shock turning into grim defiance. Dorothy and Gerund can only watch, stunned by the sudden turn of events. Rin's eyes narrow, a flicker of understanding dawning as she watches the scene. The traitor is thrown back, completely baffled as to why his powerful strike was ineffective. JY fumes, certain that their enhancement magic had faded and left them defenseless. Rin's cry draws the archer's attention to Desmond, who is now conscious and alert. As Desmond coughs, the archer realizes their protector is the one who somehow stopped the traitor's attack. JY furiously tries to understand how his attack was blocked, replaying the moment Desmond was struck down. The archer sheepishly admits he misjudged the situation while Desmond glares, still recovering. With a sinister grin, Jin admits he hesitated to eliminate Desmond, thinking he might have some use. Now filled with regret, he brandishes his blade, furious he didn't take out the biggest threat first. The remaining party members watch the confrontation, their expressions a mix of shock and defiance. Deciding it's not worth the trouble, Jin dismisses them, having already secured the gem. He turns and flees toward the exit, choosing to retreat with his prize rather than continue the fight. Jin glances back with a mocking wave, taunting the party for their naive trust and how easily they were manipulated. Jin's cruel words about the convenience of allies strike a nerve, fueling Desmond's rage. Desmond clenches his fist in frustration, finally understanding the true meaning of teamwork and the pain of betrayal. Desmond is crushed by the weight of their failure, realizing the gem is gone and their plan is in ruins. A defiant voice suddenly declares that the real idiot is Jin, catching everyone's attention. Dorothy and Goran look on, stunned by the sudden act of defiance. The source of the defiance is Meryl, who pushes herself up from the ice despite her injuries. With a fierce glare, she scolds the traitor for his arrogance and for underestimating them. She scoffs at their shallow alliance, certain he never bothered to learn her true abilities. As the others watch in confusion, she reminds the traitor of a crucial detail he overlooked. She then reveals her true class as a thief, triumphantly holding up the gem she just pickpocketed from him. Desmond is completely stunned by the unexpected reversal, his hopes suddenly rekindled. Dorothy and Goran are equally flabbergasted, unable to believe what they are seeing. Goran and Rin stare with open-mouthed shock at the unbelievable turn of events. The traitor frantically checks himself, demanding to know when she possibly could have stolen the gem back. With a bloody but triumphant grin, Meryl declares that he got exactly what he deserved. Furious at being outplayed, Jin retaliates with another brutal strike, sending Meryl to the ground. Desmond urgently orders the medic to heal their fallen comrades as Jin lingers near the dungeon exit. A sinister condescending laugh escapes the traitor, clearly amused by their desperate situation. The remaining adventurers turn toward the sound. Their face is a mixture of anger and apprehension. Jin admits with a sneer that he underestimated them, infuriated at being vested by those he considered trash. His eyes glow with a menacing light as he vows to return and eliminate every last one of them. The party recoils, the chilling weight of his threat hanging heavy in the air. With a final taunt, Jin warns that his organization is everywhere, planting seeds of doubt about their allies. The traitor vanishes into the dungeon exit, his chilling words echoing in the now empty chamber. The remaining adventurers stand in stunned silence, processing the brutal betrayal they just survived. As the injured rival leader awakens with a furious shout, the party prepares to evacuate the dungeon. Their first mission with the Chevalier Garden officially concludes as the wounded are carried out on stretchers. The unconscious faces of Meryl and the rival leader are a stark reminder of the high price of their victory. The weary party finally emerges from the icy dungeon, leaving the chaos and betrayal behind them. Desmond stands with his team, soberly reflecting on their successful yet incredibly costly mission. He clutches the recovered gem, having learned a harsh lesson about the importance of comrades in unity. Desmond accepts that his new path means he will inevitably face more dangerous enemies who prey on the trust of others. The party returns to the grand and imposing Chevalier Garden headquarters. A cheerful Rin greets her comrades, her energy completely restored after the grueling mission. Dorothy and Goran check on Rin's condition, but she confidently brushes off any concern. Rin credits Desmond for her well-being before asking her teammates about his whereabouts. Dorothy explains that Desmond has been summoned by the commander to report on their mission. She expresses concern, noting how pensive Desmond has been since the betrayal, leaving his friends worried. The scene shifts to a door labeled Commander's office where Desmond's debriefing is taking place. Inside, a laid-back commander greets Desmond with a wide grin, praising him for a job well done. The commander casually remarks that appointing Desmond as the leader was clearly the correct decision. Desmond remains stoic, offering a simple thanks, his expression unreadable in the face of the praise. The commander casually sips from a bottle, completely unfazed by the serious nature of their report. He tries to cheer Desmond up, insisting he should be celebrating the brigade's greatest achievement yet. But Desmond remains somber, acknowledging the success came at a great cost and was a team effort. The commander's playful demeanor shifts as he correctly guesses Desmond is worried about their injured comrades. He confidently reassures Desmond, explaining that while their injuries were severe, they are in good hands. The scene shifts to the treatment room where the wounded are being cared for. The commander boasts about the garden's top-notch medical team, who are already working to ensure a full recovery. He even reveals that the medics are capable of reattaching a severed limb, highlighting their advanced skills. The rival leader is also shown resting peacefully under the care of the medical staff. Despite the reassurance, Desmond is racked with guilt, convinced that if he were stronger, his allies wouldn't have been hurt. The commander reminds Desmond that he did more than enough just as he was instructed before the mission. He explains the mission's true purpose was for Desmond to learn the meaning of camaraderie and resolve. Desmond admits that this newfound understanding is precisely why he's now terrified of a repeat incident. His eyes burn with fear at the thought of his new precious friends getting hurt again. The commander yawns dismissively while his aide observes the exchange with a neutral expression. Having said his piece, Desmond gives a final bow and exits the commander's office. He walks alone down the long, quiet corridor, lost in his heavy thoughts. The aide worries that leadership was thrust upon Desmond too soon, but the commander seems to understand. He speculates that Desmond has never had true comrades before and is shouldering too much of the burden. The aide adjusts her glasses, a flicker of understanding crossing her face as she considers the commander's insight. The commander knows Desmond is on the verge of breaking, but sees this painful experience as a necessary trial. The aide promptly confiscates the commander's drink, much to his dismay. Meanwhile, Desmond continues his solitary walk down the corridor, his footsteps heavy with thought. He looks back, consumed by uncertainty and questioning his next move. His mind is flooded with traumatic images of the battle and Jin's brutal betrayal. He thinks of his new smiling comrades, terrified by the thought of any of them dying on his watch. The traitor's chilling promise to return and eliminate them echoes in his memory. The memory of the violent betrayal flashes across his face, a look of sheer horror in his eyes. Overwhelmed with dread, he resolves to do whatever it takes to prevent losing his friends. His expression suddenly shifts as a new desperate idea begins to form in his mind. He suddenly finds himself in a vast unfamiliar hall, the corridor he was in now gone. Utterly disoriented, he looks around, trying to understand where he has been taken. He realizes he's in a part of the Chevalier Garden he has never seen before. A sinister smile greets him from the shadows belonging to a mysterious white-haired figure. The figure welcomes him, revealing that they intentionally lured him to this secluded location. Startled by the voice, Desmond demands to know the identity of his unseen host. Before he can get an answer, a pair of glowing red eyes flash in the darkness. Desmond's eyes widen in alarm as he senses an imminent powerful attack. He is violently struck by a barrage of unseen projectiles, sending him flying backward. He hits the ground hard, grimacing in pain from the sudden and overwhelming assault. A foot hovers over Desmond's head as he questions who his new assailant could be. His eyes widen, trying to process the sudden appearance of another powerful foe. The mysterious woman reveals herself, stating she's heard of his unique enchantment spell. With a sharp-toothed grin, she offers a disturbingly cheerful greeting. A wave of pure terror washes over Desmond as he senses the immense danger. He scrambles to his feet, instinctively recognizing her as an overwhelming threat. His eyes glow blue as he activates his appraisal skill to identify the mysterious woman. A flash of light emanates from his eyes as the skill takes effect. Desmond is left utterly speechless by the shocking information his skill reveals. He clenches his fist, unable to comprehend the unbelievable truth he has just uncovered. His appraisal reveals stats so impossibly high, he can only conclude she must be an S rank. He stares up from the floor completely. Alright, that's the end of the story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.